Philip Bokaba was born and bred in Alexandra in the Gauteng province. The township was established in 1912. Now, although relatively small, the greatly overpopulated area faces many challenges, such as infrastructure, healthcare and safety. But for Philip, this is home, and his heart is surely there. For as long as he can remember, the young dreamer was always on a mission to help his community. He started his career in education. He and his partner, Tabo advised the district education department on how local schools should handle their allocated funds. Through this, they got involved with Wits University's student exchange program.
They get students maybe from Germany, for instance. They get to exchange with other students at Wits. They come and spend some time here instead of research on all those things. So we created a relationship with those kids. I just took them around to show them how we live. When you say you hanging out at the bar, what kind of bar do you go to? We hang out at Shebeens. When you go to a restaurant, what kind of restaurant? What kind of food do you eat? Who do you hang out with? When there's a party, where do you go? And in that thing, it came to them as a surprise that people live like this. And when they went back home, and that's where it happens that we had such an experience. We were at the township for the first time, and now speaking to their families, to their friends and all those things, and I started getting calls and saying, we would like you to take us for a tour.
Philip saw a business opportunity in this. In 2009, he founded Tabo Tours, operating from a humble office in the hub of Alexandra.
Cultural tour, or maybe a religious tour, where I tell you all about the religion in Alexandra. It will be about the heritage, or a political tour, because we've got a political history. That only about the tours in the township. We've got what we call long haul holidays, where tourists come and visit South Africa maybe for a month or for a week, where I can take you for about 12 days around the whole of South Africa, starting from Johannesburg to Mpumalanga to Cape Town and all those things. So each and every province, we've got a package.
They also do tours in the SADC region. But what sets Philip and Tabo Tours apart is his mission to uplift and empower his community through tourism. The lifestyle tour has opened up opportunities for Tabo Tours to really practice their responsibility.
We take them into people's households, people that I grew up with, and that creates also jobs for those people, for me spending an hour with those people, because I create a sort of like a questionnaire where these people get to ask whoever occupies that space, and they ask them questions. Where were you born? Where do you come from? How many people do you live here? How do you do things? And all those things. So it creates a job, because at the end of the day of the interview, I'm able to give them something to say thank you, because most of them it's unemployed. You find families that are not employed, and you know, for them giving that kind of information, you don't have to go to school to get to acquire such information. It's something they were born, and something they do every day.
From his research, Philip realized that nobody was offering such a service, yet he found that first world tourists were interested.
Some of the other people, because they're coming from first world countries, they were able to help such families and give them something, or to say, you know what, I'm running such an organization, how about we come back and give to this family, or do you understand? Or maybe there's a child that passed matric, but because the family can afford to take them on further education, you find somebody who's really a director from one of the wealthy companies and everything. They'll say, no, we'll take the child on tertiary.
Philip's business resonates with the national tourism sector strategy. Since South Africa's democracy in 1994, the tourism sector has grown rapidly. According to the Ministry of Tourism, the number of foreign visitor arrivals increased from just more than 3 million in 1993 to over 8 million in 2011. Tourism is indicated as a priority economic sector for government.
We want South Africa to be the top 20, or to be amongst the top 20 destinations in the world. And it's really asking what are the kind of things that we need to begin to do in order for us to get there. And those issues vary from the kind of niche markets that we want to develop that's going to attract visitors to come to South Africa. It ranges to the kind of infrastructure that is going to be necessary to support that vision. It's also looking at the kind of development in the various parts of the country that's going to be necessary in order to take us there. So in essence, Vision 2020 is about creating the necessary environment for South Africa to be amongst the top 20 destinations in the world.
And the road to being in the top 20 lies with responsible tourism, a concept pioneered by South Africa.
Looking at this sector called tourism and realizing that tourism can play a very important role in being a catalyst for economic development in our country. But it was also saying that we don't want any kind of tourism, that we have major challenges in our country. And those challenges are that we've got a South African tourism which relies on natural environment to attract visitors here. We've got a South Africa that also a tourism sector that relies on the people and communities, on the culture and heritage. But we also have got problems that we emerge with from the post-apartheid South Africa, amongst them the issues of poverty and the marginalization of the poor and rural communities. So it was saying we need a different kind of tourism that's going to respond to these kind of things, that is going to become more responsible and make sure that tourism is sustainable. So that is really the background to the government introducing responsible tourism as a policy that's going to underpin all tourism activities going forward.
Langa Libalele says there's a growing demand and consciousness from tourists for responsible tourism. But cost is a major challenge. Small businesses may be required to make an investment, for example, installing solar geysers. They may only see the returns in a few years. Go to Natural consults with small businesses around environmental management and sustainable best practices.
What we found is the response hasn't been great. There are very few businesses that we are aware of that are proactively taking responsible tourism and implementing it. They are implementing it, components of responsible tourism. So they would do energy saving, they do water saving and waste management and employ local people, but they don't really do it in the context of responsible tourism. They don't realize that they actually are aligning to the principles of responsible tourism. So what we're trying to create is just an understanding of what responsible tourism is, how the things that you are already doing applies to it, so that it doesn't become this big scary animal and people are scared of it because they think it's a compliance issue and it's going to cost them money. And I think from that perspective it hasn't been well adopted because people think, oh my goodness, it's another compliance requirement from government. And it's actually not. It's about sustainable business. It's about sustainable business practices and about best business practice.
Government has created the standards and regulatory requirements for responsible tourism business. They're also heavily invested in marketing and awareness campaigns, such as national roadshows and the introduction of the Climate Change Response Program. Small businesses, although they may want to become responsible, often don't know how to go about it.
Our plan is to take 1,000 guest houses every year over the next 5 years and help them get off the ground with responsible tourism. So we're not a certification body. We want them to be certified at the end of the day. So we want them to understand what responsible tourism is about, and then we want them to become responsible to such a degree that we can then hand them over to a certification body if they then choose to be certified. So that's quite a bold step, and we're hoping that by stimulating the implementation of responsible tourism in our target market, more people will come on board because they'll realize it becomes a competitive advantage for their competitors. So they need to start doing it as well. And it is going to be, because they're going to be able to streamline their operations, take cost out of their system, so they're going to be able to afford better marketing.
Being responsible doesn't mean you can't dream big. Philip's dream is to one day buy a yacht and a jet. He wants to prove that through responsible tourism, you can still have it all.
Within my business, responsible tourism, it's all about what you do on a daily basis. And I work with the community. My success, I get to sleep better when knowing that somebody has acquired skills through my business, and they've got an opportunity to do something better with their lives because of what I've done for them.